Welcome back. Today my topic is A Tiger in the Zoo. This is the third number of poem in your syllabus. Here Leslie Norris has described very fantastically about the appearance of a tiger inside the zoo as well as in the forest areas. Actually, in this very crisis moment, the tiger is endangered species. It should not be kept inside the cage, or it should not be misplaced from its very habitat. So, here the poet is giving the very message to the readers that this endangered species should be given freedom to live its life. What is the content of the poem? Let's read stanza wise. First of all, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through the long grass near the water hole where the plump deer pass. Here some words are like this. Here you can see plump. Plump means fat or nutritious. Rage means, here you can see, rage means anger. Next stanza, he should be snarling around houses. Here snarling means here making sounds, snarling around the houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs. Fangs is here opening the jaws and showing the canine teeth. His claws terrorizing the village means making the people of the village afraid. But he is locked in his concrete cell, his strength behind the bars. Here the bars of the jail or cell or in the zoo. Stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Means the tiger is not looking at the visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars. The cars that keep watching the animals at night. So the tiger got the voice of these patrolling cars and stares with his brilliant eyes at the billion stars. This fantastic poem was composed by Leslie Norris. Side by side you can see another two poems are there related to tiger. This poem you can see also. The tiger behind the bars of his cage growls, the tiger behind the bars of his cage snarls, the tiger behind the bars of his cage roars. Then he thinks it would be nice not to be behind birds all the time because they spoil my view. I wish I were wild, not on so. But if I were wild, hunters might shoot me. If I were wild, food might poison me. But if I were wild, water might drown me. Then he stops thinking, and the tiger behind the bars of his cage growls, the tiger behind the bars of his cage snarls, the tiger behind the bars of his cage roars. This is written by Peter Neblett. Another poem related to tiger you can see. The panther, his vision from the constantly passing birds has grown so weary that it cannot hold anything else. It seems to him there are 1,000 birds and behind the birds no world. As he paces in cramped circle over and over, the movement of his powerful soft strides is like a ritual dance around a center in which a mighty will stands paralyzed. Only at times the curtain of the people's lifts quietly, an image enters in, rushes down through the tensed, arrested muscles, plunges into the heart and is gone. This is written by Rainer Maria Rilke. So in this way, these three poems are given, but we have to read out this first poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. Let us read elaborately this poem. You can see this is the condition when it is encased in the enclosed area, a tiger in the zoo. Let us read the stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Here he means tiger who walks in quiet rage means unexpressed anger. In the few steps means small. In the few steps means little steps. Cage means cage of the zoo. He has vivid stripes means bright and attractive lines on the skin. He stalks means he is walking gently with carrying with his velvety body, that is having the stripes also, the few steps of his cage. Actually he does not have the limitless walking spaces. Limited space is there, he is walking over there. On pads of velvet quiet, his feet is made of velvet, very soft, making no sound. In his quiet rage, it seems that the tiger is making or not showing any anger. He should be lurking in the shadow, sliding through the long grass. Here he is a tiger. Lurks means waits. Lurking, sometimes it is hiding. It is very suitable place for the tiger to hide its body. When where there is a long grass is there, it is a very suitable place for the tigers to hide. Why should a tiger hide? Because it is the ideal place for the prey or make the hunt. Here in the first stanza, you can see the tiger was inside the zoo, but here you can see it comes out and it is in the wilderness. He should be lurking in shadow. Here some shadow is there. Probably it is the evening time and it is just in the middle of the field and hiding its body between the grasses, sliding through the long grass and passing its body gently and gently towards its target, that is to catch the prey. Near the water hole where the plump deer pass. Here plump means fat. Deer means here the food of the tiger, and it is the water hole where many animals like the deer also come to drink water and quench their thirst. So it is the very awaiting moment for the tiger. Tiger is waiting behind the grasses, and when it comes very close, it starts jumping over them and catch the prey. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Here, the tiger has come out from the forest area. It is probably the village area, and at the end of the jungle, there is a village area, and it comes out there. Actually, there is a food shortage in the forest area. That's why it has come around the village area to seek for the food. And here the activity of the tiger is showing the teeth, canine teeth, sharp teeth, and opening his jaws. Not only that, it was showing its paws also, and it's showing its claws. That means actually the tiger is very desperate to give the message that don't take my food, don't misplace me from the forest area, otherwise I should come to the village area to take my prey. But he is locked in a concrete cell. Here in this stanza you can see once again the tiger is in the zoo. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind the bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring the visitors. Now the tiger is locked inside. Some people are making business by keeping this animal inside the zoo, and it is a very helpless situation, especially for the tiger, and it is behind the bars. And here stalking means walking the length of the cage, ignoring the visitors. Here the tiger was not looking at the visitors, only in his own mood, walking and walking. So here you can see the tiger is closed inside the concrete cell, here cage of stone. He can show his strength here, so he walks in the length limited space of the cage. He ignores the visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the billion stars. Here some contemplation or thinking about the future of the tiger. Some reflection of his mind is going on. He was thinking how my future is. Actually, I am not getting any peace of his mind. During the daytime, we are getting disturbed by the visitors. During the night, the patrolling cars also disturb us. And stares with his brilliant eyes, and in this very destitute moment, the tiger is looking at the skies, looking at the brilliant, with his brilliant eyes at the billion stars. Here the last voice, listens the last voice, people going back to their houses at night. He also listens to the sounds of the patrolling cars, the cars of the police or the observers. By these billion eyes means hopeful eyes of the freedom. Actually the tiger is wanting the cherished freedom he did not get. He looks at the billion stars, billion future of freedom. In the first few lines, some explanation is given. Let us read. Explanation 1. The tiger moves up and down down of his cage, and the stripes on his body are strong and bright color. The stripes on his body are of a strong bright color. The tiger moves quietly on his velvety pads. Here the tiger moves up and down of his cage, and the stripes, here the stripes of his body are of strong bright color. The stripes of his body are of strong bright color, and the tiger moves quietly on his velvety pads. Actually this type of legs, feet are not making sound and very usable for walking. He is full of rage. Rage means here I told you anger, but is quiet because he knows that he is totally helpless here. Let's go another explanation. Looking at the imprisoned tiger. Imprisoned means inside the cage, and the poetess is filled with pity. The poet is filled with pity. He says that the poor tiger should have been in the natural habitat. Then at this point of the night, the tiger would have been lying in the shadows of the trees and sliding quietly through the long grass. There near the water hole, he would be waiting for some fat deer to pass that way. Thus he would be lying there in expectations of heavy feast. Explanation number 3. Let me read out. Here the poet imagines what the tiger would be doing in case he failed to find any prey in his natural habitat. It naturally occurs that many animals are not getting food inside the forest area. He says that the tiger would be drooling at the edge of is near some village areas, and he would be showing his white fangs. Means here you can see white fangs means canine teeth and claws also he was showing while moving here and there. He would thus become a cause of terror for the villagers. And here Leslie notice gives a hint that if we destroy the natural habitat of the tigers, they would be forced to turn to our towns and villages to find their food. Explanation number 5. The poet sees the tiger locked in a concrete cell. That means locked in a concrete cell in the zoo. In spite of all his strength, he now lies imprisoned behind the bars. Very slowly and silently, he moves up and down along the length of the cage. He takes no note of the visitors who come to the zoo to have a look at him. Actually, he is totally ignorant about the visitors. He is walking by his own mood and measuring the length of the cage. Explanation next. The tiger knows no rest during the day. Because of the visitors, even at night he remains disturbed due to the noise of the patrolling cars. He keeps the patrolling cars, the visitors during the night also disturbed, and during the day it was disturbed by the visitors. He keeps staring at the billion stars with a brilliant eyes. Perhaps this is the message. Perhaps he is asking heaven why he has been imprisoned here, why was not given the complete independence or freedom. Let me discuss some poetic devices from this poem. So first of all, let me discuss about the rhyme scheme, as some ending words are matching in this poem. So according to this matching, the rhyme scheme of this poem would be A, B, C, B. So rhyme scheme of this poem should be A, B, C, B. Here rhetorical devices are there, like personification is there. Personification, when inanimate objects are personified in the poem, then it is known as personification. And here the poet uses the device of personification with respect to the tiger that is mentioned in the title of the poem. He refers to the tiger not as it but as he. So several times the poet mentioned the tiger as he. So actually we use the word he for the persons, not for an animal. So it is a case of personification. Another figure species are there, like metonymy. Metonymy is the substitution of the name of an attribute for that of the thing meant. In this poem, the poet calls the body of the tiger as its strength. So here the word strength is given in place of the whole body of the tiger. So when one thing is substituted for another, that time it is known as metonymy. Metaphor is also used here. The poet compares the condition of the tiger in the cage and in the forest. He tells how tiger feels in the cage and how it would have been feeling if it were free. Here some alliteration is also there. It is the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of the adjacent or closely connected words. Basically, in the alliteration, consonant sounds are repeating. Like, let us read this line: should be lurking in shadow where plump deer has passed. Here some bold words you can see: S for should and S for shadow. two h sounds word are coming. Here it is a case of alliteration, and the next line where plump deer pass in the concrete cell. So here plump and pass the alliteration, and concrete cell, C for concrete and C for cell, both are, it is a case of alliteration. Symbolism is also here in this poem, like it is the use of the symbolic images and indirect suggestion to express mystical ideas. In the poem, the poet describes eyes of the tiger and the stars in the sky as brilliant. The eyes are bright either because of the rage or because of the majestic look. On the other hand, the stars are brilliant because they twinkle in the sky. So symbolism is represented here by the poet. Let us read the conclusion of the poem. The poet creates a positive resignification. The poet creates a positive resignification of the tiger in this poem. Instead of showing it to be a man-eater or a cruel creature, the poet shows that in fact it hardly ever bothers with human beings, and that it hunts only when it needs to eat. By showing these relatively benign aspects of the tiger's life and showing how graceful its movement can be, the poet is giving us an important message. He is telling us that it is unjust to remove animals from their natural habitat, and that we must strive to conserve that habitat for them at all cost. Hope you enjoyed reading the analysis of the tiger in the zoo. It has been completed. In my next video, I will meet you with some more topics. Till then, goodbye to all of you.